everyone. So we are live again for another author live chat with fans session, and today we have author Jan Grobler with us to talk about a very interesting subject that is actually very close to my heart. And so today, instead of doing it at 8 p.m. CST, we are doing it at 8 a.m. CST, 8 August, and we have author Jan Grobler to talk about applied kinesiology and our unconscious negative programming. So a little bit about the author over here. So Jan is a life and transformation coach. He believes that every human life has genius with which to give this world, and he enjoys the discovery of his client's own unique potential. He believes that genius is underpinned by self-esteem and uses concepts to help his clients to find their unique self, accept themselves, and then transforms their results to its highest potential. Jan is also a cognitive behavioral therapist, psychological kinesiologist, spiritualist, and a teacher, using all his gifts coupled with neurolinguistics to give a consolidated experience of just how amazing his client is. Jan recently published his signature book titled Get the Hell Out of Your Own Way, and tips and tools to heal your past and live the life you love. So I think without further ado, let's welcome author Jan to the show. Hello, Jan. Hello. Thank you for joining me actually for the Sunday series. I mean, we used to do it on 8 p.m. CST, but this time around we are doing it at 8 a.m. CST. Nevertheless, I am so very excited to welcome you to the show because I think today we're going to talk about something that's very interesting. I think that not many people would have known about it, which is all about kinesiology and about negative subconscious programming, right? So I think I have actually briefly explained a little bit about you, introduced a little bit about you, but it would be great to have you present or explain a little bit about yourself, introduce yourself to the audience a little bit, Jan.
Jasvina, thank you so much for the opportunity of speaking on this forum, and thank you for making, for shifting your normal slot to accommodate me with the time zones and everything. I really appreciate it. It's Sunday afternoon, 3 o'clock. Yes, so it's a perfect time for this segment. So when people are in bed just snoozing off, they can snooze off listening to us. So that's awesome. Well, I'm a life and transformation coach, and I have started to understand that coaching is very effective, but if I wanted to make it more effective, I wanted to add some therapies to my coaching style that would help to transform clients' minds much quicker, to bring about transformation in the client's life physically much quicker. And I also realized that the mind loves understanding. So when your mind don't understand what it is battling with, then it struggles to make a change. And it takes a lot of repetition. One of the rules of the mind is that it learns by repetition. So it needs repeated affirmations all the time. And I come from that world where when I did my own healing, when my own healing process started some years ago, I only had affirmations and repetition of affirmations available to me. So I'm grateful that I can make the experience to my clients so much quicker, So yeah, that's me in a nutshell. I'm a humanitarian. I love the human life. I understand where people come from. That's what my book is about. Get the hell out of your own way. Because I lived the experience of a human being for so long.
Right. Jan, I think it is definitely interesting to talk about your transformation sessions, and especially your cognitive behavioral therapies and things like that. But I think before that, probably like how long have you been like in the field, and how did you actually stumble upon this? Was it your calling, or was it something that you're passionate about since the beginning of the time?
Yeah. Jasmina, I've been in banking. I've been a senior manager on banking for many years. And during that time, I realized that I was always the go-to person, for people that went through marital problems, through depression, through some challenges in their lives. And I always was the one consulting a little bit on the side. And the leaders always called me and said, "Did you see that one? You need to go and help that one." So I knew there was a gift inside of me to help people, and I could understand them, but I could also teach. And I love drawing pictures and teaching. So then my own healing started after a near suicide attempt. And I was deeply depressed for about 42 years. And so about 5 years ago, this journey started gradually with events, now that I look back, that happened in my life to kind of facilitate the way into what I call my life right now. And so about 2 years ago, I quit banking because I used to do coaching part-time, after hours, and all the studies and everything that went into that, the long, long hours, no weekends. And then, I decided I'm going to do it full-time because I love it. And that's where I'm now. 2 years in full-time practice, and I'm with a medical doctor in Namibia, sharing a practice with her, Dr. Esti, beautiful humanitarian, and we do wonderful work together.
Right. So, Jan, I think you spoke about your own struggle, right? I mean, all this while, I think that it was, if I heard that correctly, it was 40 something years that you were
42 years.
42 years of struggling with that, your depression and the issues that you're facing. I mean, like, wow, like, could you like tell us a little bit about how that journey was for you, and who helped you, like, in terms of your own mentors and coming out of it?
Yeah, thank you. I struggled with it, I think I was a functional depressive person, but there were times that it would peak very high. And then I was on antidepressants, and so many psychologists, psychiatrists, so many pastors and preachers, and, tried to help me, and it was never sustainable for me. And then where my journey started was a dear friend of mine presented a course called The Artist's Way in Namibia, and at that stage I had nothing. There was nothing left in me, and I went to that course amongst 13 other people about, and they were all looking seemingly happy on face value, and I felt, what am I doing here? But I started, and that journey was a journey of 3 months, and then I knew I needed to help people. At the time, I also was part of an executive coaching program at the bank, and my coach, Elaine, helped me a tremendous lot in the workplace. I saw a psychologist, but I just knew I needed to dig deeper. And in the process, I discovered that I have the ability to help people, to really, help people with coaching, with changing their perspective, because this is what the work is about. It's changing a person's perspective about who they are, what they're suffering with. And one thing led to the other. It's amazing. The first thing, and it's probably the biggest epiphany for me, and it will probably remain that for the rest of my life, was that I cannot outperform my self-esteem, even if I try. So I didn't love me for whatever reasons, and I had to learn to love me. That it was okay to love myself. That it was not an arrogant thing, that it was something that was fundamental to the human life, spirituality to help us, because God didn't design us to suffer, to struggle in life. And if we don't love ourselves, then we're giving that judgment, whatever you want to call it, that criticism, we give that away. We bleed on other people. So that was my first big realization. And then I joined Mary Morrissey and her beautiful team at what used to be the a faculty. It's now the Brave Thinking Institute, so we'll just go with that. And I loved that. And my first qualification was to become a dream builder coach, and that was beautiful. And then I went right back to LA to do the rest of the work. Then I became a life mastery coach, and from there onwards, I started adding kinesiology, cognitive behavioral therapy, and now RTT, rapid transformation therapy, which is so potent, it's so beautiful. All subconscious work.
Right.
So I know what I'm talking about. Chapter 1. Sorry to interrupt you, Yasmina. Chapter 1 of my book is called The Living Dead. And I open this chapter with a quote from Benjamin Franklin that says, most people die at 25, but are not buried until they're 70. Benjamin Franklin. And I called it Living Dead because I was a corpse breathing, but I had no joy in life. It was all living behind a mask, pretending to be perfectly okay, and I didn't, I was never a kid. I had to wear the mask every day.
Yeah, and so talking about different therapy tools, right? So one of it is actually kinesiology, and kinesiology is what we were talking about just before, the session. I think that was really interesting because, like I said, I first got to know about kinesiology through my very own coaching session, and that's when the muscle testing, the method was actually introduced to me. And I thought that, initially I thought that, how does this even work, right? But I think as we learn more about it, then we come to realization that a lot of things that we it's also cognitive embodiment, if I'm not mistaken. Like, you show it outside, like, in one way or another, and that is what subconsciously programmed inside yourself. So the ways to detect, the ways to detect how your body is reacting to what's subconsciously being programmed inside yourself is what the tools are all about, right? So tell us a little bit about kinesiology, and I think a lot of people will not know about kinesiology.
See, kinesiology, Jasmina, is a way to muscle test and to communicate with the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is a nervous system. And it implies exactly that it's nervous. I always laugh about that. It's kind of nervous. And your nervous system, your subconscious mind job is fundamentally to give you joy, to give you happiness, and to protect you. So if you understand the human life between 0 and 7, that programming part there is so fundamental. And you can actually, if you think about it, there's no baby that comes into this world that feels I'm not good enough. There's no baby that enters this world thinking, oh, if I puke all over my mother's white blouse that she rinsed for church and ironed, or, for the last half an hour, she's going to stop loving me. There's no baby that comes into this world that thinks that what they want is not available to them. It's just not. They don't even realize they're different. They think they're unique and they love it. And then in that first 7 years, the mind is in theta state, the brain is in theta state, and it's a a quick window, it's a quick opportunity for learning. And what you can do with kinesiology, you can kind of test through muscle testing what a person believes. So you can test, does this person love them? Do this person love himself or herself or not? By way of communicating with muscle testing. And that's beautiful because you can do it, you know, very effectively, and you can help the person. And I find that with cognitive behavioral therapy, I can look at the behavior and go back to childhood and try and figure out, to help the client to figure out what it is that they believe and what they want to believe. The brain, the mind loves understanding. The moment the mind understands what it battles with, why it battles with it, it releases that program, because then it says, but that's not me. That's my father, that's my mother, that was a caretaker, somebody in my life that was an authoritative figure, that, you know, that didn't feel good. It wasn't that I'm not lovable. But you see, the brain stores trauma, and the children are so sensitive in that first 7 years, because there's various stages that they go through in brain development to build like a foundation for their lives, you know, which they then fill with information when they go to school and they become fully functional adults after school. And at that time, that first 7 years, there's an imprint in the brain that sits there, that plays in the subconscious all the time. It is so fast, it runs between 20 and 40,000 bits per second, versus the conscious mind that runs around 400 bits per second. So it's almost impossible for us to fight that brain pattern. And I see it with my patients all the time. The moment we get to that thing, the moment we get it out, sorry, I'm clicking because I'm a hypnotherapist, but snapping my fingers all the time, I'm so used to it, it's second nature. The moment you get to that thing that is in the root of this person bothering them, and you reframe it for that person, and you bring about new understanding, you didn't even start with a transformation yet, you know, to transform the subconscious with new beliefs and new feelings and new perspective. You just change that perspective of that scene specifically. The most beautiful thing happens. They go quiet, they go peaceful. And when I take them out, I had a client yesterday, a patient, a dear friend of mine. He couldn't walk. He could not walk. His legs was, you know, completely numbed. He went through such a big traumatic event that we had to reframe for him. And it took us all of 3 hours, 3.5 hours to do that properly. But I can tell you, it's phenomenal. I saw him today and he's completely free. It's like you're talking to another person. There's direction. But last night he was tired, really, really tired after the session, because all of a sudden your conscious mind, your brain, where you live, that 5% that's available to you, I call it your DIY, do it yourself, that part of you can suddenly relax because it does not have to fight the unconscious pattern in the mind. And there's alignment. And very, very often, if not 99.9%, people have a spiritual experience. It's as if God becomes real for them. It's as if they return to love. So you'll see on all my posts, I hashtag it return to love, because I believe that's the human journey. You know, we've learned how to hate ourselves, and now we learn how to love ourselves. And when you do, you cannot outperform your self-esteem, but as you gradually lift your self-esteem, guess what? Your results will follow, and it will be, where's my camera, an equal thing. Whereas where we come from, we try to, you know, build big results, but we don't really feel worthy or deserving of those results. So what happens is it does not last long. It drops down, and so the self-esteem also then drops down. And that's inevitably how we create greed, we create struggle, we create strife, we create, you know, competition, unhealthy competition among each other, because we think there's lack in this world. There's not. There's abundance. There is a problem, though, there's greed. And there's greed because people don't love themselves. They think they will never have enough. Well, if you change your perspective, you will get enough, and you'll be satisfied that you now have enough, and you'll make a difference in this world. And I know, life is so precious. There's no time to waste. I think we all know it now around the globe with COVID that, became a reality in our world, and took so many lives out of our own lives, So, yeah.
Exactly. I mean, um, I think throughout the journey is where a lot of people actually struggle because they are not able to, go through the whole process, which could be actually very taxing, right? Um, how do you actually assist your clients? Like, it's always a messy journey. It's never linear. Journey is always messy. So, how do you assist your clients, or how do you actually see your clients, getting through, or maybe even yourself, getting through the whole process to the other end of the tunnel, like, finally coming out of it.
Yeah, I believe this is something that's so natural to me. Whenever clients leave my office, I say, listen, you're never alone, never ever. You WhatsApp me, okay? If you struggle, and people don't believe that I will call them back and that I will help them, even if they don't have an appointment. But I do that because I feel we can be, there for each other. It's my role is to support you, one, to change your perspective, ultimately to love you and to support you through it. And I can clearly see when a client starts to wean themselves, I don't want to become a crutch for anybody. So my job is to help them, to get them strong so that they know how to love themselves, know how to optimally perform, and then I wean them. And some of my clients do transformation courses with me then, following a healing experience. That's completely different because you can never learn enough. One of the things in the Christian Bible, there's a scripture that says, my people will perish for a lack of knowledge. So we can now already know our teeth will be in glasses next to our bedside tables one day when we're old. We will still learn. We will learn. Life is about learning. So healing is the first part. That's very transformative. And then learn. Become a master in every area of your life. It's available to you. So yeah, I support people. That's who I am. I always say to my clients, if you cry and there's a little bit of a mucus release, I'm there to wipe your tears and that that release also, because guess what? It's what I'm trained for to do. It's what I love. I love people. That to me is good news. When people cry, I get happy. I'm probably weird, but then I know the body is releasing something that it held on to for dear life, and that to me is a positive sign. When a person don't cry, I get very concerned. I have a friend, dear woman, and she came and saw me after her hubby got very, very ill with COVID. And I said to her, honey, we need to get you to cry. And then one day she WhatsApped me, I think it was a Saturday afternoon. She said, Jan, I'm crying. I'm finally crying. I said, yay! Because if you feel, you can heal. But if you don't feel, you are going to make yourself very, very sick. And I'm not talking about mental illness only. We must understand there are a lot of physical illnesses today. 80% of it is psychosomatic. It's something in the psyche that sits there, and that the brain releases a lot of cortisol, and we stop believing in ourselves, and the body will weep if we don't weep. So if we don't feel our emotions, we're in for a tough one. Then we get physical illnesses, and that's something that I see in my practice as well. People lying on the couch, I hypnotize them, take them back, regress with them. They have autoimmune disease, constantly in pain. 3 hours later, they don't have pain anymore. Their mind, your genius mind, is so strong, it can heal your body. It can heal you from illness. So it's a beautiful thing if you understand and use it for you, because most of us got trained unconsciously to use it against ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, Jan. I mean, like, What about I understand that your patients or even anybody who's actually going through a difficult time would want to reach out for assistance, and connect with other people, right? But what's your take on trying to, or probably empowering them or enabling them to sit with their own emotions and um, empowering them or encouraging them to
Yeah.
actually feel it on their own?
Yeah.
Do you think that is eventually that is something that everyone should be able to do? It's like
Yes.
to be able to handle their own emotions, not
Yes.
depend on somebody else.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. The very first thing that I do in a coaching journey is help people to do some flow of consciousness, releases, because it's my belief that that process allows you to have a therapist always with you. You see, many people are so indoctrinated in religion and not really realizing that they are being breathed. They are spiritual beings inside bodies. They cannot give one breath on their own. What that then does, it disconnects them from the higher power. So you have to, as a coach, I believe you have to understand your client first. You need to understand where are they on their spiritual path, on their growth path, on their emotional path. So you give them the tool, and you need to explain to them that they're never alone, essentially never alone, because the human being have 3D vision. We look around as we see stuff and we treat it by stuff. But, you know, God is an energy. We cannot separate ourselves from God because we are made in that image. We are made for greatness and we are always loved. And so when you sit and you do that flow of consciousness release process, and it's a tool in my book. And thank you for advertising it on Kindle. It's beautiful to see. I appreciate that. Um,
Mhm.
then you always have a therapist with you, whether you're at home, on a flight, in a hotel room, and I say to people, just do it all the time, just once a day at least. But when you get upset, just sit, write, release, because it's like taking your mind to the toilet. And this is now a very bad analogy, but it's the best analogy because I love being real. Just like you can't eat 3 meals and never go to the loo to number two, your body will get ill. You will eventually die. You cannot walk with your brain full of thoughts and think. Your mind, your emotions, your body will not be affected. You have, as a human, and there's different theories, but they say between 70 and 100,000 thoughts in a 24-hour period. That's a lot. You need a place to release that. You need a place to take your brain to the toilet, get rid of it, flush, let go, and go on with your life. It's the same principle. You just have to. It's like servicing a vehicle. It's like putting fuel into a vehicle. It's like charging your laptop. If you don't do that for you, if you don't run your antivirus, on a regular basis, it's going to run you. The virus is going to run you. And it's the same thing. We need to stop complicating these things, make it real. I always say to the boys, men also do this process. Men also feel. Your fathers that told you cowboys don't cry, not true. So you need to feel that
Mhm.
feeling, and you can feel it safely on your own.
Mhm. I mean, I have actually read this concept whereby feeling bad or feeling the negative emotions is not something really bad, but feeling bad about feeling bad is bad.
That's beautiful. That's beautifully said. Because here's the thing: the bad emotion, the bad feeling, is trying to show you something, and what it is trying to show you is an area to heal, to change your perspective about. And once you do that, it'll turn around in a gift. It's like the butterfly cocoon moment. You come through the darkness and then you move into those beautiful wings into the light. There's always, always darkness preceding light. There's always a little bit of pain preceding pleasure. And when you get to feel bad, you get to see something that you believe about yourself that's not entirely true. And that when you heal that area, when you change your understanding, when you change how you you perceive that area in your life, the gift is phenomenal. It takes you to the next level of your life. So many other things that we want is then available to us, but it's not available unless we unlearn what we've learned, which is a lie. That's why the Bible says the truth will set you free. I keep saying it to people. Just go to all the scriptures. It's there. It's always been there. But we've made it this doctrine. We've made it this ugly thing. We've made it this you have to earn God's love. No, you're made in His image. Why do your child, there's no child that needs to earn a parent's love. They are just loved, you know. And we kind of make that connection, and that's where so many of us suffers. But we need to learn that He is just love, unconditional love. And if we want to change our lives, have better lives, have lives that is more healthy, we want to save our planet, we want to save, starting with ourselves. If you want to save anybody else, we don't work on yourself first, then you better start loving yourself, because loving you means I'm now able to give this away. I'm now able to freely give this to those around me. I'm now able to just give it away in a way that I don't feel I'm going to feel any lack or experience any lack. You just give. Our planet, all this, all this terrifying things that goes on, we can stop that if we return to love within us and align with the love that always breathes us. So yeah.
That is beautifully said, Jan. And this is, your website over here, and I believe that you are also taking in international clients, right?
I do. I do.
So, so this is all online, and
Yes.
your coaching sessions, and there's a little bit about yourself over here, and the resources. So I think readers can also go check this link out. I believe this is going to go to Amazon, and
That's correct.
so you are also one of the co-authors for the recipes of being, right?
Yes. Yes.
Right. That's
With
how I got to
Dawn and
know you.
Deborah. Yes, and a whole bunch of other
Dawn,
coaches.
Dawn was, really amazing. I mean, her energy is just so fantastic. I have spoken to her twice, on this live session. It was just really, really amazing. And I'm so glad to be able to connect with you and so many others, to speak with in this live show. And I think today has been really, really insightful, especially with your brief introduction about kinesiology, and somebody over here has actually commented, saying that it's very insightful. Thank you for joining, and I hope that
Thank you for
you
joining in.
learned a thing or two. So yeah, John. Before we end the show, do you have anything to tell the audience out there, and especially now, since we are in the midst of pandemic, and we are still, I think now is when people need human interaction and human connection the
Yes.
most. It is
Yes.
now we have been starved of all the human interaction
Yes.
because of because of the virus, and there's no
Yeah.
social connection, interaction, and that alone has actually, I think, is taxing, and it is taking a toll on many people out there. So, what would you say to people out there, struggling with this, the lack of human interaction, connection, love? Obviously, it's
Mm.
never going to be like a human face-to-face interaction, but how do we leverage technology, and how can we all be together in this a very difficult time to just, move through things and come out of the end of it. At the end of the pandemic, hopefully we will, survive. We will thrive better, as a human being.
I think to answer that, it's very, very simple. Return to love. When you love yourself, you will not wish bad on another person. And I see the judgments on Facebook and Instagram going on about whether to be jabbed or not to be jabbed, whether what is right and what is wrong. Here's the thing, guys. Nobody's been through this pandemic before. It's the first time for all. Every one of us goes through this pandemic together for the first time in our lives. The difference between this pandemic and 1918 is, in 1918, we didn't have the ability to connect the way we can now. You are in India, right, Jasvina?
I am based in Malaysia.
Malaysia, okay. I am based in Namibia. You and I can sit and chat to a group of people, and it's really, really real. Use what is there, use what is available to you. Play games online, but please clear your minds, because right now what I'm seeing is a lot of PTSD that's going on because people do not have time to process the fear and to mourn their loved ones. So many people, go through trauma, and that trauma keeps them stuck in that place where they constantly relive that fear. That's PTSD, and people do not want to feel that feeling, so now they shy away from it. They want to keep themselves busy, and because your mind wants to keep you happy, they start drinking, doing drugs, sleeping around, which is obviously not so possible anymore. But they do stuff that is not healthy for them, and I'm not criticizing anyone that has a glass of wine. I'm saying have it within limits. Now, if you look at depression, the trauma of losing loved ones, friends, all of that, it needs processing. So A, make sure you clear your mind. Get a tool, clear your mind. B, make sure you learn how to love yourself, because you will not be able to outperform your self-esteem in a consistent way if you don't start to love and accept yourself for the beautiful being that you are. And then number 3, reach out, connect. Play games online, use Skype, use, all that's a Zoom, all those things that's available to us to connect with your loved ones. I have a family meeting with my sister and a soon to be fiance and a friend of mine. And we just chat away for 2.5 hours. The phone keeps dying, and then we just dial back into the meeting and we just have fun, laugh, plan the wedding, and that's a way of connecting. So we just need to change the way we look at things, and then the things we look at will change. We cannot do that from the ego. We need to do that from a loving, in spirit, aligned life with an aligned, beautiful, loving perspective. Because otherwise, we're just going to keep bleeding on one another, and there's not going to be unity. And unity is just like I say to people, we're looking for herd immunity. Well, we look for herd love, herd unity now, because that's what's going to make us stronger.
Exactly. That you put it all in a very beautiful way, Jan. And we have one final question over here, which is, when we notice ourselves feeling bad, what action should we physically take to make it a learning lesson?
Very good question. Thank you for that. I think when you feel yourself feeling bad, take a notepad and write, I feel bad. I would like to know why I feel bad, ? And then answer your own questions. And as you answer your own questions, don't judge anything that you think. Any thought that comes up, just write it down, bullet point it, and you will very quickly see it's got something to do with a limiting belief about yourself. When you criticize yourself, consciously or unconsciously, you will feel bad. You will not live your greatest life. You will invoke an emotion. If you think somebody else can make you feel bad, that is a sign that you're still in that first 7 years of your life. Your brain never went forward to start to love yourself. You got hurt in that first 7 years, and then you default back to that brain state, to that belief that people have control over me. That's not true. That's not true. Nobody can make you feel bad about you, but they will have access to you if you allow them. The thoughts you think will create beliefs about yourself. So you make your beliefs, and then your beliefs makes you. So if you want to do that, question your thoughts. What am I thinking? What am I believing about this thing? And then you'll very quickly see, well, you know what? This is what I believe about myself, and forgive yourself for it ultimately. Change your perspective about it. And if you can't see somebody, it's no shame. We all have issues that we have to work through. And I'm the first person that will go and see, one of my coaches or one of my therapists. I have no shame about it because, my ego and thinking I can heal myself was the biggest mistake I've ever made. You cannot, you sometimes with your own perspective, when you're in it, you can't see what it is that you believe. You need another perspective. Don't feel ashamed. Do it for yourself. Do it because you are worthy and deserving of a wonderful life.
Absolutely, Jan. I think writing your feelings, your emotions down is actually journaling. It's a form of trying to understand where we are coming from and looking at, the thought processes and writing them down. And as we write them down, we get, a picture of what's going on, inside our mind and what went wrong, and things like that. I think it's sort of like a self-analysis method where we can um, literally shift from feeling bad to gradually feeling better,
Yes.
through the
Yeah.
form
Here's the
of.
thing. Here's the thing, Jasmina. You and I have all the answers we are looking for. We have a belief we don't. We have a belief that we are disconnected from the source of all information. Anything that you ever wanted is available to you. If you believe you're far away from God and you don't believe you are being breathed, well, then you're going to always think, well, I'm stuck. You're not. It's just a belief. Because if you are made in the image of the Most High, it implies that that image is a part of you. It's your soul. It's inside you. And do you think God sits there and chews nails about a problem on Earth, a problem about a planet that's not spinning, rotating exactly the way that it should? Do you think he's even concerned about COVID? No, he's not. And that is who you are a part of. And that means you have all the answers. What you don't have is self-belief. What you don't have may be a tool to find those answers. What you don't have is a second, a third, and a fourth perspective. What you do have is a belief that you're stuck. And listen to me, it's just a belief. So the more you can say to that thing that bothers you, that's not me, it's my understanding. The more you will free yourself, the more you will seek for another understanding. If you were meant to be a robot, and you didn't have feelings, you would have just moved forward, you would have never had any issues, but you're not. You're a feeling being. Your whole subconscious, 95% of you, relates to feeling. Every imprint in your mind comes from a feeling that you felt because of an event that happens in your life. And if you can understand what the feeling is, what the deduction is that you've made in that moment, and you can see the scene again, guess what? You can change your whole life experience. So we've got all the answers. We just don't know how to get there. Or we don't believe. We say we believe in God, but do we really believe? That's the big question to ask.
Exactly. I think whether it's God, it's universe. I mean, it just anything that we believe in. I think it's the higher power, right? Um,
Correct. That's what I mean.
I
Yeah.
think
Refer to it
exactly.
in any which way you want to.
Yes, exactly. I think it's just the belief that we will be able to come out of it, and we have all the answers. And that alone, I think, will empower us to look within and not outside when we are having, all those difficult moments coming through and we are trying to struggle and then look for answers outside, of us,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
And I
Yes,
think that that's where.
we don't have to be victims anymore. We are victors, but you're a victim. The moment you blame somebody else for your life experience, you're still in victim mode. You didn't make peace with that part. You're still being controlled by an energy, event, something that happened outside of you. And you know what? I always say, and I can't say it in the way I love saying it, but the the black stuff happens to us all in life. But we can't blame. When you blame, you're not owning. When you own, you start to own your entire experience and you start to become the author of your own story. You choose whether you are in the driver's seat of your life or somebody that hurt you is in the driver's seat of our lives. That's really the question here. And if we know we are spiritual beings having human experiences, then we will look at this thing completely different and we will embrace healing. We won't shove it away and we will embrace transformation.
Thank you so much, Jan, for that wonderful, wonderful Q&A session, and for also answering the questions that we had today, and for also sharing some of your knowledge with us. And I hope that the audience have found that really useful. And I hope that if they would like to learn more about you, you can always go to limitlesslife.com, and I think that's where they can learn about your books as well and your coaching sessions. So thank you so much, Jan, again for joining us today, and I hope that you probably will be able to join us in other sessions to come, maybe in the future. And it's always been a pleasure to talk about self-improvement tools available out there, and coaching programs are something that's very close to my heart. And thank you, especially to Dawn Witter as
Yes,
well.
please.
Who,
we need to give her we need to give her our thanks. I agree.
exactly, exactly. I mean, I would
Yes,
like to
love.
thank Dawn for actually introducing me to you, and for arranging this session right with you. Thank you so much, Jan, for your time, and I hope that we will meet again in some other sessions. Till then, take care and stay safe always, Jan. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for this time, for your time. Thank you, Dawn, and I wish you all the best. Just a blessing to be with you on this show,
Thank
and
you.
stay safe.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jan. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.